So, in today's episode, I would like to talk to you guys about the power of suggestion, something that has served me well over the years, and it will hopefully make you one of those voices that people listen to, especially during stressful times, during crunch. If you have any in your studio, you want to put yourself in a position that your suggestions and ideas are worthwhile and people should come to you for more. So, how do you go about that? Let's talk about it in this episode. Okay guys, how's it going? I hope you guys had a great week. My name is Harvey Newman. I'm an animation director and I like to share my passion for animation and games here in this channel with all of you. So that is for all those that don't know me. For all those that know me, obviously, I'm here to share knowledge on how you can further your career and make the most out of your journey as an animator. Now, today's episode is specifically gears towards the people that actually feel a little bit introverted, especially in the beginning of their journey in animation. Because what happens as you start your career, as you get into a professional environment, is that you get a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of talent and experience that people have when you arrive. So this actually has happened to me, and it has happened to most animators that I know. I think it's completely normal. And it's something that you shouldn't really allow to phase you. Now, there is the good way of doing this and the bad way of doing this. So when you start, make sure that you keep yourself humble. I have a few videos about that. Make sure you actually kind of like go ahead to my channel, search. But being humble in an environment that is very professional, especially as you come through with no experience, is something very valuable, right? So listening, taking advice from others, recommendations, asking questions, all of those are good traits to have, especially as you get started. Now, it doesn't really mean that because you're asking questions, because you are the new guy, because you have no experience, that you cannot suggest good ideas, right? Or solutions for problems. Games environments are very much like a hot pot of problem solving. That's basically what it is. Doesn't matter what department it is, especially if you're starting a new game. It's all about solving the issue in hand, and then when that's solved, go to the next one and do the same thing. Now that takes years, right? So we need people in the industry that actually have fresh ideas, have the knowledge, come with a different perspective from outside. Because what happens is that the longer you are in the industry, the more you get caught up in your own thoughts or in your way of doing things, especially big studios, because it's a massive machine that needs to be moved towards a goal. So normally there's a certain way of doing things, and that certain way needs to be exactly like that for that particular studio in order for the game to be successful as the previous games have been, right? But all of those things basically make all junior animators and people that actually came in from university makes them a little bit stiff, and I've seen that so many times. And it doesn't matter how many times you can tell somebody to kind of like make sure you bring ideas, make sure you suggest things, make sure you actually kind of like come up with freshness. People think that you're doing that because you're being nice, but in all honesty, people like myself, we're doing that honestly to actually kind of get a fresh perspective from your point of view, because you haven't been in the games industry, and I'm pretty sure being new to the games industry, starting a job as a junior or as an intern, I'm pretty sure you have lots of ideas. That doesn't mean that all your ideas are going to stick, but it's going to mean that you're going to be that person that is going to be outspoken, right? So being outspoken, but also knowing your place, are two very important places, or traits, I should say, that you need to have as a junior, brand new intern animator, right? Know the balance, have a feel for things, but make sure you keep suggesting things. Now, what's going to happen most likely when you start this journey of suggesting things and being outspoken and being like, have you guys thought about this? What about this other thing? How do you guys do this thing that you guys do? Have you guys thought about this other way of doing things? So what's going to happen in the beginning is most likely none of your ideas are going to stick. And most likely you're going to get to a point that you might feel frustrated about it. Don't let that deter you from actually speaking out, because what's happening is that most people around you, especially leads, supervisors, directors, they're too busy to change the way that they do things, right? But if you actually demonstrate to them that your idea is really good, then they will start seeing your point of view. So for example, in my case, when I was working at Creative Assembly, the workflow at the point that I actually started there years ago was not the best, and it was not the animation workflow, but it was basically the tools that animators had to put things in engine, right? So I came in, obviously I had experience, did my research, and I've actually set up other pipelines previously that I knew more or less how to better their pipeline, right? So no one around me was doing this work. Everyone was busy doing their own work. So I actually suggested, have you guys thought about doing this better? Now, this idea didn't stick at first because people are too caught up doing the work that they know how to do. So I proceeded to spend maybe a month or two just like prototyping, designing, photoshopping some images of how things could look and why they would be better if you did things differently, right? Now, as soon as people have a visual guide or like some kind of like a reference that they can actually put their mind into, they start actually listening and paying attention and being curious about what you want to say. So you haven't thought about this idea, especially if you really believe in it, you going the extra mile and putting the extra work and the extra hours to make sure that people really see what you're trying to say, right? And then people seeing that final result means that you have a higher probability of people digging your ideas. And this goes for everybody. It doesn't have to be a brand new animator in the industry. You can be a senior animator, can be a lead, and just know that this system of actually kind of like demonstrating things visually works really well in the games industry. And I'm pretty sure the same would apply if you actually work in film or VFX, right? So the power of suggestion is really, really powerful. This is all I wanted to say with this video. And you should not be afraid of speaking your mind up whenever you have a strong feeling that something that you have in your mind might work in a better way. Now, make sure you don't take it personally, even if people say no after you've done all this work, right? And people go, actually, really nice, great, but we don't have space for that. We're going to continue with the way that we have it. I have seen people that actually take those things very personally, and then, they start feeling very negative and they eventually leave the job. Now, don't take any of those things personal, because what that means is that you tried, which is actually a really good thing, because if you hadn't tried it, you'd probably be stuck in your head, and you'll be thinking, that's a better way of doing it. Why am I not doing it, right? So you try to actually kind of like suggest your idea. Now you put it on a visual way, with visual references that actually kind of give them exactly what you had in your mind, right? And if they go, yes, great, but no, we're not going to do it, then just put it aside, because at least your mind can rest at peace to know that you've tried your best, and perhaps it doesn't work in the studio, but it might work on a future studio, right? So put it to rest, move on to the next thing. Whenever you have another suggestion, do exactly the same thing. Now, a result of all these suggestions and giving ideas and making sure that you go the extra mile and all that stuff, people will start noticing that you are a guy that has plenty of great ideas, right? So when an opportunity comes up from your lead, supervisor, or whoever, that they actually want something fresh out the box, perhaps they are not the person to actually have that idea. If you actually have had all these ideas, even though they were rejected, perhaps they'll go to you and they'll be like, you know what? Why don't you come up with an idea on how to make this thing better, right? You had all these other ideas. Perhaps you have a better idea on how to make this one thing better. And maybe that's your opportunity to shine, right? But the idea here is that you suggesting things, and the power of suggestion, and I'm trying to kind of like convey here, is what drove you to a place that now you're the guy with the good ideas, right? Now you're the guy with the good suggestions. Your voice that now people want to hear, right? Instead of being a silent guy right in the corner, just animating. You don't want to be that. You want to be the guy that, has a voice, right? And a guy that actually people want to ask, so what do you think, right? So the more you do that, the power of suggestion, the better placed you will be within any studio. Doesn't matter if it's indie or AAA, right? So keep that in mind as you go through your journey, because it has helped me a ton and is one of the main motivators on why I got here, right? It's always that thing about not settling and trying to kind of like come up with a better flow or better idea or better way of doing things, right? Doesn't matter if it's artistically or practically, there's always a better way of doing things if you really, really think about it, right? So that is basically what I wanted to convey in this video. I hope it was helpful to all of you. Now, if you liked it, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you actually kind of like click that bell icon to make sure you get notified of my videos, and drop a comment. You know what I mean? Like the comment section is very friendly here on this channel, and I like to communicate with everybody. So drop a comment. I want to talk to you guys. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you had any experience like this. And that's about it. Now, I cannot go away without mentioning my Patreons. So thank you very much to everybody that has been helping me every single month. Now, this year, I made it a mission for me to be better at updating Patreon and making sure that I hang out with the people that are helping me in this channel to support me with their hard-earned money. So we're gonna start like hanging out maybe once a month or once every 2 months, talk about animation and all that good stuff. Make sure you join me over there if you like to support this channel and get to know more updates about me and like just like stuff like studio tours and all that goodness, right? So that's it. That's all I had for you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And until then, stay well, stay safe, and peace.